video, I'm going to talk a little about converting a pattern that is written to be knit flat to a pattern that is knit in the round on circular needles. And I've avoided making this video because I've always been concerned that making this video is going to create more questions than it was going to answer. But I've thought about this and I've taken it to a really high level. I've put together 4 points that are the basics in how you can rework a pattern, a flat pattern that is seamed, to be something that is knit in the round. And I can't answer all of your modification questions, but hopefully this will get you on the right track for doing that yourself. And I also have a pointer for that as well if you get stuck. Okay, when I'm talking about converting a flat pattern to circular, I'm talking about, like, for instance, a hat. Hat is normally a tube, right? A hat that is written to be knit flat with right and wrong side rows and then seamed up one side, or a pullover cardigan that is essentially a tube for the whole body, but it's knit in pieces instead and then seamed. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. There are other examples. You can actually have mittens that are written flat and with a seam that you can change, and there are all kinds. Pretty much anything can be written flat. It can be written flat if it's normally knit in a tube, or if it can be converted to knit in a tube. I think that makes sense, yes. But knitting in the round is easier, it's faster for a lot of people. You don't have wrong side rows. A lot of Americans hate purling, and so we always want the right side row showing all the time. Okay, my 4 points. If you want to see a rundown of these points, I've listed them out in the video description field just below the video on YouTube, or you can click the little I to go to my website and I'll have them listed out there. Number 1, the first thing is this a good idea? Is it a good idea to switch your pattern from being knit flat with seams to in the round? And you want to think about this because sometimes the seams in a pattern are there for structure, especially if you have something like a cotton sweater. Cotton yarn can be kind of heavy, and if you are eliminating the seams from a cotton sweater that's knit with kind of heavy cotton yarn, you could just be making just this hanging heavy mess of cotton that really has no shape to it, where the seams were actually giving it structure. So ask yourself that first. Something knit in a wool yarn, which is a much lighter weight yarn, meaning actually pound for pound, it's a lighter weight yarn. Chances are you're going to be okay, but do think about that. Think about the structure of the sweater if that's going to make a difference. A hat, you can probably convert it without any difficulties. A hat can never really get heavy enough for that to be a problem. Number 2, when you're talking about the seams on a hat, you have 1 seam in a hat most likely. You want to subtract 2 stitches for every seam that you're eliminating. And if you're working with a pattern that was done by a good designer, a designer who thought about the seams that were going into their piece, they're going to add 2 stitches to the pattern that are going to be eaten up in the seam. That's just part of it. They expect you to use the mattress stitch to seam it, and 2 of those stitches are just going to be gone. So they'll add 2 stitches. So when you're converting that to being knit in the round, you want to take those 2 stitches out for every seam. So for a hat, for example, with 1 seam, eliminate the first and the last stitch, the first stitch of the row and the last stitch of the row if there's a stitch pattern that you're working with. And when you seam it up, or when you don't seam it up, when you just knit it in the round, it should have the same stitch pattern as if it was knit flat and seamed. And if you're talking about a sweater that has a seam, the body of a sweater has a seam on either side, you want to eliminate 2 stitches on one side, 2 stitches on the other, for a total of 4 stitches. And 4 stitches, unless we're talking about a sweater, like a woman's sweater that's knit in kind of a fine gauge yarn, 4 stitches is not going to make a big difference. But it is going to make a big difference if you're knitting something with maybe a super bulky yarn where each stitch is nearly 1 inch wide. You want to take those stitches out. It could make a big difference in the size. Mostly it's going to make a difference in any stitch pattern, even if you're just talking about the bottom ribbing. So eliminate 2 stitches for every seam that you're eliminating when you change something to being knit in the round. The third one, the third one is actually really important, because when you're knitting a flat piece, you're knitting right side, wrong side, right side, wrong side. And when you are knitting something in the round, it's just right side, right side, right side, right side. There are no wrong sides. The wrong side of the work never faces you. So when you switch something to from being flat to in the round, you need to eliminate the wrong side rows. And that means changing all of the wrong side rows to be right side rows. And if we are just talking about stockinette, stockinette when it's knit flat is knit a row, purl a row, knit a row, purl a row. You just want to eliminate the purls. It's all knit, 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 knit. Every round is knit. So that will give you stockinette in the round. That's how that's done. It does get more complicated when you're talking about other stitches. The basic thing, the most basic instructions I can give you are every wrong side row, change all knits to purls and all purls to knits. And that will give you the pattern that you want on the right side of the work for knitting in the round. On the wrong side rows, change all knits to purls and purls to knits. And that works for almost everything. That works for almost every pattern you're going to come up against. The only time it doesn't is if you have stitches that use PSSO. This is the only example I could think of. The only time it doesn't is if you have a PSSO, pass slip stitch over, and that's going to give you a real heavy lean that you can't replicate on the right side of the work. But there are hardly any patterns that do PSSOs on the wrong side of the work anyway. I was really stretching for that. It's pretty easy to convert it that way. Okay, the last one, number 4, is if these are the basics, but any pattern that you're converting are going to have, there's going to be something about that pattern that might be unique. And if you're having a difficult time thinking through it, I recommend visiting your local yarn store, scheduling a private lesson with the knitting teacher there, and don't just hand her the pattern and say, fix this for me so I can knit it in the round. Have her walk you through what she's doing, and you'll learn from that, and next time you'll have an easier time converting the pattern on your own. If she can convert the pattern for you, she can explain what she's doing to convert the pattern. I'm sure she'd be happy to share. It's a money well spent visiting your local yarn shop for a private knitting lesson if you're stuck on something like this. So I can't help you modify your specific pattern. I can give you these basics and I can send you to your LYS for some help. Anyway, those are the basics. Again, if you want to see the 4 points that I've gone over here in this video, you can visit my website and it's all listed out there. I hope it helps. Good luck.